Good afternoon and welcome to iHire.com's resume writing webinar for candidates in the accounting and finance industry. My name's Freddie Rohner and I'm an iHire.com professional resume writer. Today we'll be discussing the most important document in your job search, your resume, and what you can do to create one that stands out against the competition. 50% of employers say a weak resume is a job seeker's biggest mistake, and approximately 92% of the resumes I see every day need significant improvements. There are a few different formatting strategies that can be employed. The resume format I'm going to cover today is the more traditional chronological resume, which works effectively for the majority of job seekers. The agenda today is to cover the 6 important parts of a resume: summary, core competencies, also called keywords, content, mechanics, and design and format. I'm going to touch on each one of these for you, and we'll look at examples of an average resume and one written by a professional. I'll also go over common mistakes that I see each day and that you need to avoid. We all know this is an employer's market. Employers have the opportunity to be very selective about who does and who doesn't get the interview. And this all starts with the resume. I'm going to begin at the top of the resume and work my way down through each section. At the end of the webinar, you'll see the finished product and hopefully have a better understanding of how your resume needs to present you, your capabilities, and your experience. Resume objectives. I see so many resumes that start with an objective statement. Objectives explain what you're looking for, but employers are interested in their bottom line and how you can generate more income and increase their productivity. They want to see value in you, and an objective shows no value. So if no objective is needed on a resume, what should be there? A summary is a brief description of your experience and what you can bring to the employer. The summary will always be located at the top of the resume under your contact information. The top of the resume is prime real estate, and this is where most HR professionals start reading. So you want to grab their attention right away. So what needs to go into a summary? Experience, skills, action verbs, power words, and industry-specific language. Think of a summary like a movie preview. They have only seconds to catch your attention and give you enough content to pay and see that movie. Can you write a brief summary to make someone want to keep reading your resume or even call you in for an interview? It can be challenging to compile all your work history into a few sentences, but this is what employers want to see on your resume. Let's look at an example of an objective statement. To secure a position with a dynamic and innovative company, a position that will allow me to share my skills in AR/AP, payroll processing, and reconciliation to benefit both my employer and myself. This is what the job seeker wants to achieve, and that's great. But how does this tell potential employers what he or she can offer them? Now let's examine a summary. Highly talented and results-driven professional with thorough understanding of financial reporting and analysis, data processing, and generally accepted accounting principles. Hands-on business administrator with 15 years of experience directing and supporting multifaceted financial operations and maintaining relationships with clients and vendors. Broad knowledge of budget planning and management, cash flow forecasting, and fund accounting for governmental and nonprofit entities. Effective accountant capable of developing internal controls that increase efficiency and enhance accuracy. The summary lists how many years' experience the applicant has to offer in their field. It also mentions their understanding of key aspects of financial operations, their ability to plan and manage budgets, their skills in maintaining relationships with clients and vendors, and their additional background in nonprofit and government accounting. A summary can also capture important keywords that a computer is searching for. A recent survey taken by HR professionals found that most resumes give 15 to 20 seconds of viewing time before being selected for an interview. Can you write a summary that can impress someone in less than 30 seconds? Keywords. Let's face it, who has the time to look through hundreds of resumes to fill 1 or 2 job openings? This process has been automated now. Computers do this, and those systems are called applicant tracking systems, which can filter out 85 to 90% of resumes. Applicant tracking systems are designed to scan resumes for certain buzzwords and content. If your resume doesn't have the majority of the prominent keywords or content, then your resume never makes it to an actual person to read. Some say they feel their resume goes into a black hole, and they never hear back from the application submitted. This is most likely due to applicant tracking systems. A resume will not get you the job, but it can cost you the job. You could be the most qualified applicant for that position and never even get a look. It can be frustrating, but by utilizing the following strategies, you will increase your chances of getting called in for an interview. The example that I have here shows a job description that I've read and pulled out prominent keywords from. I need to have these keywords in my resume as long as I have these qualifications. I found about approximately 11 good keywords and phrases that I know will help me get through the filters. It can be time consuming for each job description, but it's more than worth the effort if it gets you the call. Make sure you don't try and pad the resume with qualifications you don't have, because more than likely you will be asked about them in an interview. What is resume content? Think numbers, percentages, and definitely accomplishments. Put yourself in a potential employer's position. Will the information on your resume help convince that employer you're a worthwhile candidate to interview? Just because your past employer was very excited about a specific project or accomplishment doesn't mean that all employers would be equally excited. It can be very difficult to evaluate your accomplishments in an industry sense. Something that you did successfully for a company 10 years ago could be automatically generated by a computer today, so there's no need to list that as content. For example, if you can save an employer 10% in labor costs, then they will be able to know exactly how much that would mean to their business. Many companies have internal acronyms and words to describe processes and procedures. Some of these are industry terms, while others are just company terms. Be sure to avoid using company terms when writing your resume. Writing good content can test your abilities, so think, and think some more. This slide shows you an example of some good content. It gives a brief description of the position that was held and uses some very strong action words. Then the applicant follows with 3 really good, hard-hitting bullet points. Reduce costs $50,000 annually by establishing accrual accounting procedures in accordance with GAAP. Improved month and year-end closing processes, decreasing time needed for month-end close by 1 week. Cut outside accounting costs $40,000 per year by eliminating outsourcing of tax preparation and reporting. These all show strong value and good, quantifiable information. Resume mechanics. Definitely one of the most challenging aspects of resume writing. This is where you will display your writing skills and knowledge of grammar and punctuation. You must display professional writing abilities and be sure to keep it industry related. You must know when to use proper punctuation like semicolons, colons, commas, hyphens. Even proper spacing is important. Always remember, write to inspire. You want the person to want to continue reading your resume. Design is important. It's almost like dressing up your resume. You wouldn't go into an interview wearing ripped and dirty clothes, so don't send your resume in a bad design. If your resume is visually appealing, then typically an HR manager will spend more time reading it. I don't recommend including a photo of yourself on the resume. Make sure the resume looks professional. Resume format is the last step, and then we can view the finished product. Format is the way the resume is organized and how it is intended to be delivered to the employer. You must use proper bulleting and bolding strategies. Most resumes I see have way too many bullet points on them, and we consider this to be death by bullets. When everything is bulleted, nothing stands out. If you create your resume in a Word document and it looks perfect on your computer screen, it should look the same when it's uploaded to any site or job board. We get calls every day from clients that say when I upload my resume, everything gets smashed together or everything gets pushed to the left. If this happens when you upload your resume to a job board, then your resume is formatted incorrectly and employers are seeing an ugly resume, which more than likely will be recycled. Avoid text boxes, drawn lines, and headers and footers. However, it is acceptable to use a header for your contact information on the second page of your resume. This slide shows a resume written by an average job seeker. It doesn't look too bad, right? I'll touch on just a few negatives. Let's look at the objective. The objective states what he or she is looking for. A position that will allow them to share their skills in AR/AP, payroll processing, and reconciliation to benefit both their employer and themselves. They mention a few skills that they offer, but overall this objective is lacking because it is too short and focused almost entirely on what the job seeker wants. From there, we can move on to the professional experience section. This resume is pretty well organized, has short job descriptions and bulleted achievements. However, what it's really lacking is details. Let's look at the first bullet of this candidate's current position. Reorganized both accounting and HR functions, implemented new policies and procedures to meet the needs of managing high-volume operations, and improve productivity. It's definitely a great achievement, but it doesn't include any supporting details. They mention that they improved productivity at the very end of the bullet, but employers will want to know how much of an improvement was generated. This resume may have worked 5 or 10 years ago, but in today's market, with applicant tracking systems and strong competition, it doesn't stand a chance. Now let's look at the same candidate's resume after it was professionally written by the iHire team. The resume starts with a strong summary paragraph. Then the summary follows with some really good keywords. These are primarily there so that the resume can get through those applicant tracking filters. Next, you'll notice the professional experience. Each one has 3 to 4 sentences briefly describing the position held, then some good quantifiable and industry-related bullets. Here's the second page of the resume. Has more job information, then ends with an education section. Remember, there's no need to put dates in the education section unless you're a recent graduate. Recent being received your degree or any certification within the past 5 years. A 2-page resume is standard. If you're an executive, a 3-page resume is okay. However, try your best to keep it short and sweet. Keep it to 2 pages maximum. Let's compare the 2 of these resumes. You immediately notice the difference. Not only does the one on the right really state what this candidate can offer, it looks professional, brings value to the employer with the content written, and should make it through the filtering process that most companies are using. Let's recap. Make sure you have a hard-hitting professional summary that shows what you can offer them, and use industry-related terms. Content. Show the employers your accomplishments. What have you done that sets you apart from your competition? Mechanics. Proofread. Make sure you use correct punctuation. And design and format. Remember, you have less than 20 seconds to impress the reader. You want to make sure your accomplishments get read. So design the resume to keep the reader interested.